Arcadia Queenie had a peep over the right shoulder, and she's going to blow them away. But Northerly, Danny Miller, pumping away, and Northerly wins the railway.
Welcome to Racing Rewind. Our panel will review and digest the Prime WA Saturday Thoroughbred meeting from 24 hours earlier. If you have an opinion, send a text to 0427 789 571.
Galaxy Star draws away from them. Pike Magician.
All-star cast lined up here today. Lochie Taylor and Richie Bell join us. A very good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Marty, Rich and listeners. Mammoth 12-race program to dissect from yesterday afternoon, Cyril Flower Stakes Day. And whilst it was a huge day of racing, I actually think there's plenty of horses that we can be following moving forward. I think the quality of horse flesh in recent weeks has been very strong, and obviously it leads into the Magic Millions next Saturday at Pinjarra Park, and everything starts to heat up towards some of our autumn features, in particular for the 3-year-olds.
Yeah, and talking to the 3-year-olds, we'll have the Challenge the week after on the 22nd, and also the Detonator. A few of those horses that came out of the last race, the mile yesterday, might end up in the Detonator in a fortnight's time.
Okay, had to play out there yesterday, Lot.
Thought it played really well, which I think is important because of the fact that it was at the true position, and the true has been the rail position that people have had a query on over the last 2 seasons at Ascot, but that is now the second occasion in the last 2 months that the rail at the true has played very, very well. So I think that's a big tick for all concerned at Perth Racing.
Now, hot, humid conditions out there yesterday. How were the horses and the stakeholders handling that?
Yes, not too bad. Very, very humid throughout the afternoon. I think for the most part, horses recovered well, and we got through the meeting unscathed.
No suspensions, I see.
No suspensions. The only thing to note in the stewards' report was that the stewards appeared to really grill Clint Johnson Porter for his ride aboard Eccentric Nature in race number 2, which we'll touch upon in a couple of moments' time.
Okay, need to get cracking. Race number 1, the Secor Handicap. It was over the 1,200 metres.
Races more than 2 in front. Intervention, Blazing Kazar calling it quits. Over on the outside, Cressy being put into it. Now Playfair's right off the course, the widest of them, and still about 7 or 8 lengths from the leader. At the 250, Desert Edge by 3. Cressy's coming out after it. Cressy sitting out after Desert Edge. Desert Edge is the leader. At the 100-metre mark, a length and a half. On the outside is Cressy, and Blazing Tycoon coming through. Cressy hits the front, however. Cressy has won it from a blanket go for the minor placings. Cressy won from either Blazing
Richie,
Tycoon.
you can open the batting here. You alerted to us yesterday. There'd been very good pre-race support for Cressy.
Yeah, I think it's about as much as $14 was bet. I noticed Thursday night there was really good money for it into single figures, and that kept pretty solid at $6 in the end. And the previous start, it probably was unsuited. It went to the front early in the race and maybe got a bit keen and then took the trail, but the damage had been done. It was a stronger race, and it had raced very well its previous couple of runs. The run at Pinjarra, it was pushed right off the track and still ran to the line okay. And in between that, it ran that race at Ascot where it was up there early and got beaten 9 lengths in a much stronger race and did run third going back 4 runs ago. That was behind Santa Bray and Queen Nardi, which was a sort of form that was okay for this race. It wasn't a strong event. So I think the key here, Lochie, was Holly Watson getting going on this horse from about the 800.
Exactly right. She didn't really look like she had a great deal of horse underneath her. She was at Cressy from a long, long way out, but she ensured that he just had some galloping room to move into the race, as you've touched upon. His Eminence in second, I thought that was an improved run from him. Obviously, a lot of these horses were backing grade sharply to this 50-plus grade and therefore were big improvers. Desert Edge was brave in front, just peaked over the final 100 metres, but he gave plenty of cheek out in front. But for mine, clearly, the run of the race was Playfair. Got a long way back in running, had to sustain a long run around the field when the horse 3 deep without cover just didn't take him into the race. But I thought the way that he found the line in the concluding stages was very, very nice. And he's a 3-year-old, so when all of these horses have been very well exposed over 30, 40, 50-start careers, he was having start number 7. I think he's the horse we need to be taking out of this race.
Yeah, it was a bit of a mix-up race because the moving line was going backwards pretty quickly there. 2 horses, Blazing Kazar and Django Dream, were under pressure a fair way out, so riders had to make decisions to either come out or go underneath them. Django Dream actually came back to only get beaten 3 lengths. Surf Point wasn't too bad. It was coming through late, beaten about just over 2.5, and it was 80-1. So it might be one of watching a weaker race.
Well done to GJ2. Not many runners, but he seems to be bobbing up with a winner every now and then, or more now than then. Can we have Brad Sunday Saviour again, please? Yes, here we go. Bendigo race 1, number 14. Hobart in the Cup race 8, number 2, Promises Kept. Bendigo race 7, number 7. Go to race number 2, the Schweppes Handicap. It was over the 1,200 metres.
Hasn't stopped riding it from the time they hit the ground. Over on the inside is Eurasia from So Lucky, angling away from heels. Right off the track, top of the pops on the outside of Jelly Can Run. Now Johnston Porter's gone back inside of horses with the favourite Eccentric Nature. At the 200, hit the jackpot. The leader from Divine and Anna, but now splitting them. Here is Zubolt's. Zubolt's bursting through and So Lucky. It's down the outside. Zubolt's in front. So Lucky. They'll go to it. Not much in it at all. Zubolt's down on the inside. Might have held on from So Lucky and Divine and Anna. Wide out then.
Well, it was a terrific day for Team Parnham out there yesterday, wasn't it, Locke? And this time it was Luke Campbell aboard Neville Parnham's Zubolt's, who comes through and beats So Lucky, Divine in Anna, and Eccentric Nature was in 4th.
Absolutely. This was the first leg of a treble for Neville Parnham and his stable. And Zubolt's, he hadn't won in almost 600 days, but clearly had returned very well with the trial behind Salt Lake Shake. I think the first up run had merit behind Caporetto, who had been a subsequent winner. Was up in grade but down in weight, and with the claim of Luke Campbell, Neville's apprentice, only had to carry 52.5 kilos, just had a lovely run in behind them. And Neville gave an interesting insight post-race in the sense that this horse seems to only have a 200-metre turn of foot. So whilst he was held up, it may have just been the run that suited a horse like Zubolt's, because eventually once he got out and around the heels of hit the jackpot in the lead, he found the line very, very nicely. A condensed finish, but Zubolt's, I think that he really deserved a win, because he has been a horse that has perhaps shown more ability than his 3-win career has suggested to date.
I think the key to this horse is drawing low, where he can sit in the top 4 or 5 because of that 200-metre sprint. If he draws wide and has to go further back, it's going to be very hard for him to win races.
Good call.
Yeah. So Lucky was much improved run, was really disappointing when I called it down there first up, but improved a lot second up. We know that can happen with Dan and Ben Pearce's horses. They'll put in a bad one and he'll get to the bottom of it pretty quickly. And it's advanced nicely. Divine and Anna showed good speed. Eccentric Nature jumped really well and then had to drag back. And I didn't see anything wrong at all with CJP's ride. He couldn't get onto the back of Jelly Can Run out wider because it was going nowhere. So he followed So Lucky and then eventually had to wait and get the run to the outside and charged late. It was a good run because it came home fastest last 600, but to me, nothing wrong at all with CJP's ride. I've watched the head-on as well. Hit the jackpot, led and weakened, back to 1,000 for it, and could be very competitive because it's had that solid 1,200-metre run. Don't know what's happening with Split Jeté. Like, it led 3 starts ago and was able to win. Its last 2 starts just hasn't got warm early, and basically it's out of the race from that point on. I'd like to see it right on speed. It could run a much better race.
Exactly right. He's the type of horse that you need to see jump again and race on speed before you can trust him, because he's just not leaving the machines all that well at the moment. Eccentric Nature, if you did follow him in as the beaten favourite yesterday, I don't think you can drop off him. I think that run still had plenty of merit, and I agree with you, Rich. Hit the jackpot back to the 1,000. I think it would be very hard to beat next start, especially when you consider that Ryan Hill isn't afraid to travel his horses. So down to Albany, over the 1,000 metres, potentially in a few weeks' time, it'll be very hard to beat.
Well, a little bit of niggle here on the Retrovision text line, Richie, from Gordon. He didn't like the ride of CJP on Eccentric Nature.
How many times has Gordon watched the replay? Has he examined the head-on?
Well, he's actually asked you to have another look at the replay. That's what he said on Retrovision.
Yeah, I can't agree. I think there was nothing wrong with the ride.
So
at
why
all.
were the stewards inquisitive in the stewards' room after the
I
race?
think the stewards were questioning Clint and his potential ability to follow Jellican Run into the race and go around the field. Top of the Pops came off his back and circled the field, and I suspect that was the line of questioning towards Clint.
If you watch closely at that point in the race, he had one option only. It was not to follow Jellican Run and to go and follow So Lucky, I think.
Okay. Let's go on to race number 3 on the program. And this was the Morley Growers Market Handicap. It was over the 1,000 metres.
Tiki, and the tail ender is Angels My Name as they speed to the home corner. Salt Lake Shake burning along at the 400, broke clear. Salt Lake Shake straightens for home, 2.5 in front of This'll Show Ya. A break then of 4 lengths, then on the outside Simply Rosso, and then Star Power. Well back, See You at the Session. Salt Lake Shake took them to the 150. This'll Show Ya now comes at it and quickly goes up, grabs the lead. This'll Show Ya starts to extend. This'll Show Ya comes away, gives Watson an early double, beats Salt Lake Shake, Star Power.
Another jockey in wonderful form was Holly Watson, and combining with Mitchell Pateman here with This'll Show You to win the sprint.
Nice win, well-rated ride from Holly. When the speed went on, courtesy of the second horse, Salt Lake Shake, Lucy Fury was very, very aggressive in the early stages of the race, and Holly just opted out of that speed battle, was in just a beautiful slipstream of Salt Lake Shake, and from there the small pint-sized filly straightened up, always travelled like the winner and put Salt Lake Shake away really nicely over the concluding stages to, in the end, win by a length. She's always a difficult horse to follow with a great sense of confidence, given the fact that the stable themselves have always suggested that she's just a trier. She doesn't have all the ability in the world, but she makes up for that with just pure effort. So where she goes next, I'm not sure. But when she can draw low and get a soft run, she clearly is a horse that is never far away.
Yeah, no, it was a pretty good performance. I think I heard Mitch say they were going to be happy to take the trail with This'll Show You, although it's won most of its races leading. I think once it might have won with the Sits, won a lot of races at Northam. And we know how fast Salt Lake Shake is, just a machine out in front. Just gets a little bit tired late. Be interesting to see what happens with Salt Lake Shake over the next couple of seasons. If it can harness its energy a little bit more, we see that with some of these crazy 1,000-metre sprinters that go like the wind. And then once they start settling a bit better and relaxing in their races, you never know. It could be a different horse in a couple of seasons. Star Power battled on well. Fans got home okay along the inside. It's racing quite well. It should be able to pick something up, you'd think, around the 1,000, 1,100 metre mark, Fans. And See You at the Session was a bit disappointing again.
Yeah, I'm not sure where See You at the Session is at the moment. He was your beaten favourite. He was fair first up, and I thought he was disappointing second up there yesterday. Yeah, I'm just not sure where he's at. He is a Sessions, and generally you'd think that perhaps he may be better suited getting his toe into the ground throughout the winter months, but his record on paper actually suggests the opposite. He's a two-time winner on a good track. So
yeah, I mean, he did come home, 33.73, but Fans came home in 33.54, so you'd have to say a little bit disappointing, although it came a little bit wider than Fans.
Okay, the 2-year-olds went at it in the PKF Perth Plate over the 1,000 metres.
Further back then by Yes, No, Maybe, and towards the tail end of the field, Who's Talking? It's a compact lot, 500 left to go. Daisies for the ladies just in front. Leads the way from Just Walter John, and then on the outside, Storm Away going up to them stylishly at the top of the straight. Wider out then is Reconnaissance, who's right there. Monty Tremezzo behind them. Storm Away grabs the lead at the 200 mark. It's Storm Away, a length in front from Monty Tremezzo, finishing strongly. Watson gets busy. Storm Away, Monty Tremezzo. They'll go to it. There won't be much in it. Monty Tremezzo won it narrowly from Storm Away, and then 2 or 3 lengths behind them, Just Walter John, Who's Talking? Tidy again. Reconnaissance wide.
Well, tell us about this one for the 2-year-olds, Loch.
Nice debut from Monty Tremezzo. I actually was a big fan of her trial. Despite running 7th, she was back in the field and just poked runs through along the inside. Looked like a professional 2-year-old on that occasion, and looked like a professional yesterday as well, in a field where it was chaotic, to say the very least.
Was it ever?
Monty Tremezzo was just in behind the speed, always travelled beautifully in between runners, which I think is a very important trait for a young 2-year-old. And when the gap came, when Stormaway kicked at the top of the straight, Brad Parnham was just able to get the 2-year-old filly into that gap. And whilst I think Stormaway just felt the effects of a huge performance on debut and perhaps just peaked over the final 50 metres, Monty Tremezzo was the horse that had the soft professional run in behind them and was able to take the advantage from that.
Incredible run by Stormaway. It missed the start, having to charge through the way it did, really doing some bullying work just to get up there. You rarely see them go on with the job after doing that as a young horse. So that was just outstanding performance to only just go under. Monty Tremezzo was really good, but was given a beautiful run there by Brad Parnham. He thought about going to the outside of Stormaway there, but just had to quickly change his mind and come back inside and it did the job well. Just Walter John continues to race well. Who's Talking has come from the back. As Darren mentioned in the call, it really ran home strongly over the final stages. Reconnaissance, got to be a blinker's job. Like in the trial, it was looking around as well. And then yesterday it was out wide, looking around, very green. If they put the blinkers on, this horse could be a different horse next start, Reconnaissance.
Stormaway, as you've touched upon, Rich, I think this was one of the biggest 2-year-old performances on debut I've ever seen. The fact that he was slow out, did so much wrong. And interestingly, Holly Watson has been named for the Magic Millions next week over 1,200 metres, and the gear change has already been made with the winkers coming off. So it's going to be a terrific field, as it always is each and every year. So I'm not going to make him a horse to follow because he still does things wrong, and whether he can overcome that in now 6 days' time.
How's the backup into the Magic Millions 2-year-olds over the years?
Okay. I don't think many have won, but there have been horses that have performed very well.
Okay, and just on Stormaway, he didn't give it away.
No.
It was a tough performance late.
So you'd think that the 1,200 metres would suit. So it's going to be interesting. Perhaps when the barrier draw is conducted at Mandoon later this afternoon, the camp might actually want a wide draw because he doesn't look like he has great gate speed. Maybe he can settle back in the second half of the field and track up 3 deep with cover, and that might be his best chance of winning. No denying that he could be a star 2-year-old, but for mine, he just does a few too many things wrong, especially when the Magic Millions is only 6 days away now.
Okay, we'll take a break. We're at the third way stage. How'd you like to be at Flamborough Downs today, driving one? My goodness, Snowstorm City. Have a look at that.
You are listening to Racing Rewind on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
Fluoro Neuro, and whipping them all in is the roughie of the race, Cable Boy. Towards the turn, they hit the 400 mark, and Brazen Bid ridden along in front, coming into the turn by Parnham, led by a length. Running second, Canny Rock, our mate Archie to the outside, so's Fluoro Neuro. Soldanel saved up in behind them at the 200 mark. Wide out, Fluoro Neuro, our mate Archie together. Our mate Archie, Fluoro Neuro. It's Fluoro Neuro, though, starting to get the better of our mate Archie, and Fluoro Neuro hits his top today. Fluoro Neuro wins it from our mate Archie. Cable Boy the roughie or Soldanel for third. Bob of the Heads in behind those.
Yeah, it was Soldanel who got third there ahead of Cable Boy. Fluoro Neuro for Grant Alana. CJP gets the money here, Rich.
Yeah, it was a really good win. Came down the outside as it likes to do, although it has won a race weaving its way through the field as well. First up, it wasn't really disappointing because it got a very bad check there at the 600 metre mark. It seemed to put it right off its game. So it was a very forgivable run first up. Just got a beautiful trail into the race. This was a no-brainer to go to the outside there for CJP, whereas the other race, he would have had to go earlier than what he wanted on that horse in race number 2.
Savabeel.
What eccentric nature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he would have had to go pretty early. And by the time...
I'm saying that like, you know, they've got lung capacity.
Sure, but by the time he would have wanted to go, the other horse, Top of the Pops, was on his quarters and he couldn't go. So, and how many races has CJP won waiting the way he did and following through? So I don't see anything wrong with it. I think you've got to take into account who the rider actually is.
I love this. I feel
He's come back. He looped back beautifully there, didn't he? The way he was able to get back to race 2 from race 5 was magnificent. That's the work of a defence lawyer if I've ever seen it.
I feel like I'm in the back of my mother's old Toyota Kluger on the way to school listening to Rich just go at it and give it to people.
Toyota Kluge. Gee, you were doing it tough going to school.
Yeah, the TV's in the back. And on the winner, Fluoro Neuro, it was almost under the radar, really, because he went around at a big price at $10, but his form actually had some merit. He was over the 1,000 first up. That clearly didn't suit him. He made the big step up 3 weeks between runs from the 1,000 to the 14, and I thought he was okay. And then there yesterday, CJP jumps aboard, small field suits, and had the perfect run following a really nice horse in Our Mate Archie into the race, beaten him by just under half a length. Good win. Where he goes next, I'm not sure. He's still a lightly raced horse who can continue to go through the grades. But whilst this was only a small field, I still feel like the first three across the line, we need to keep following.
Yeah, Soldanel was good again, coming through nearer the inside, and probably would have been better suited in a differently run race where they'd gone a bit harder and it could really rocket home. But the horses to the outside had the momentum going and were able to keep that sprint going and hold Soldanel to a clear distance over that final furlong. And Memory Parade didn't come up to expectations there. It did win off a 7-day backup previously, and this was a 2-week break and didn't quite go as well, but maybe there's a little issue though. It didn't show any abnormalities straight after the race.
No, she didn't have a great deal of momentum into the race, but I still felt like she should have finished a little bit closer. She was clearly the disappointment out of the race, as was Brazen Bid. He led them up and just raced quite keenly through the early and middle stages. He was disappointing for mine. So Brazen Bid, Memory Parade, hopefully they can bounce back next start. But the horse I'm most keen to follow out of this race is Our Mate Archie. I think he's a really genuine Saturday horse, still putting it all
good,
together.
Isn't it?
Yeah, interestingly, have a little bit of insight from Jared Noske, and he believes that his last 2 starts he's hit the front and just wanted to wait for them. So I think still Casey and his owners have some thinking to do in regards to whether they potentially drop him back in trip and ride him a pair or two further back just to ensure that he has something to chase down. But no denying his ability, and when he eventually puts it all together, Steele and the owners can eventually then step him back out in trip, and he might even be a 1,400 metre to mile horse when he eventually puts it all together.
Okay, morning team. Shout out to Lochie for asking Neville what was his best of the day after Zoobolts won yesterday. And Neville said Snowdome, which had me put some dollars on it. Cheers, and he wants to buy you a drink.
Thank you.
There
I need it.
I actually heard that.
I didn't do it myself. So.
Yes.
And he said it without hesitation, didn't he?
Yes.
Snowdome.
Yes.
That's always good when there's no hesitation, Rich. That's when you know. You and I, and not so much Locke because he's a bit younger than us, but we're listening to interviews for a very long time. We're pretty good at picking.
Yeah. I was watching Dexter actually last night, and
Dexter.
Yeah, he was able to pick that because there was hesitation when he tried to chop. The serial killer tried to chop someone's finger off. There was slight hesitation when Dexter was able to see the finger.
Yeah.
And the hesitation indicated that the serial killer might have been close to the victim because of that hesitation. Didn't quite want to go through with it. Eventually did. And
did you start this?
No, I didn't start. I thought he was talking about Dexter Dunn, the trots driver.
No, Dexter Dunn's not known to cut people's fingers off.
And we've got another multi-win here. This man has been in wonderful form. He's gone Ice Pick Nick into another Will and got a good result there. Well done. Okay, we go to race number 6, the Tab Touch West Speed Platinum Handicap. It's over the 1,400.
Peak, who looked to be in cruise mode here as they took a good breather. Bird on a Wire brought them to the turn. 450 left to go. Bird on a Wire from Blazing Emerald. Over on the outside, our Rocky Bay being put into it 4 wide. Red Tory comes with a run. Right behind them, Cruise to Victory. Success Play, Stylish Lord further back. Red Tory hits the lead going to the 150 though. Red Tory a length and a half clear. Blazing Emerald, Bird on a Wire, but it's Red Tory sprinting clear, and Red Tory wins at will. Red Tory home.
Oh, one for the good guys. S. Miller, Brad Parham combining SJ, Red Tory. It's been knocking on the door lock, Beats Blazing Emerald and Stylish Law with Bird on a wire back in fourth.
She has, and I like the intent from Brad Parnham in the early stages of the race. She was drawn a little bit sticky in 7 of 10, and he ran the risk of being caught deep the trip just to be a little more positive out of the barriers, and in the end it worked out perfectly for Brad Parnham. It was his day yesterday. This was his second leg of a treble, and yesterday she just lobbed in that perfect position, 3 deep with cover. You didn't really want to be on any other horse at the top of the straight. Found the line very, very nicely, and you just hope now that off the back of this win she can go on with it, because she has been the beaten favourite almost every start this preparation, but hopefully this is the start of bigger things for Red Tory.
Yeah, it's been pretty unlucky its last 2 runs. Last start had to drag all the way back to last and a fair way from them, and ran home really well. And the start before it, Lucy rode and just got held up at crucial stages and really found the line on that day too. So as SJ said in his post-race interview, just got the perfect flow into the race, and we saw that with Fluoro Neuro as well and a couple of other winners. The 3 deep flow into it yesterday on that track worked out very well.
Certainly did. Blazing Emerald, I thought she was a brave effort on speed after settling outside the lead. Stylish Lord, I'll make him a horse to follow. I think he's been going very, very well. He was well backed yesterday late. In the end, he started favourite, and I just didn't feel like Braden Garth had the momentum into the corner that Red Tory had. Swap the runs, you swap the result. Clearly, in my opinion, I think he's going very, very well.
And he
Stylish
gave,
Lord, a horse to follow.
Gave 3.5, had to carry 3.5 more than Red Tory, 5.5 more than Blazing Emerald, 5.5 more than Bird on the wire, the horses that finished around him. So that was a super effort.
Okay, we moved to race number 7, the Mrs. Max Handicap. This is over the 1,200 metres.
Picnic up running third. Now a move comes from Son of the Boss to take on Miss Flirtatious as they hit the 400 mark. She's got the company of Son of the Boss, Miss Flirtatious, stoked up behind the Mice Picnic. Fourth, Desiné, followed by Catch the Red Eye. Lonsdale still about 5 lengths from the leader, Son of the Boss. At the 150, Son of the Boss burned off Miss Flirtatious. Ice Picnic can't get to Son of the Boss for the moment. Son of the Boss in front. Ice Picnic is now starting to rally. He's driving hard. He'll get there. And Ice Picnic finally cut Son of the Boss down in the last couple of strides to get home and win narrowly. Miss Flirtatious was back behind them third from Lonsdale.
Okay, Locke, a little bit frustrating there. Son of the Boss cut down late by Ice Picnic.
Yeah, Braveface went on to interview Steph Fahala. Lucky Steph's a good bloke. He's a nice fella. But Ice Picnic, he was the horse that every punter in WA put a big circle around off the back of his first up run. Was very, very impressive on that occasion, and he clearly come on, had to carry the 60 kilos yesterday, and I think he really felt the 60 kilos and the effects of it at the top of the straight when Jason Brown made that sharp move at the top of the straight to really put the speed on, and it looked like the winning move for the large majority of the straight because Ice Picnic just seemed to labour under the 60 kilos but eventually was able to mow down Son of the Boss in the concluding stages. Really nice horse, Ice Picnic, and from all reports now heads to a Pinjarra Classic over 1,300 metres, and I don't think he'll be out of place in a race like that. He'll go around at $10, $15, but he's a very honest and very consistent horse, and I don't think he'll be far away in a race of that nature.
Yeah, he has been competitive over 1,300 in Victoria and has had a win over there, a few placings, stepped up to 1,400 a couple of times and been unplaced, but 1,300 should be within his range. Desiné was good first up. Was under a bit of pressure on the turn, but kept coming to the line. So there's got to be a win this campaign for Desenia, if not two. Miss Flirtatious just found it a little bit tough there yesterday, and they got to it pretty quickly on the turn, and you knew that it was in major trouble. Actually fought on okay in the end, and Lons Delight worked to the line quite well in a 33.44 run home.
Get your text in on the Retrovision text line, also the Sunday Saviours. So we've got one here. Don't know if there's a name attached to it. It is 342. So you were happy with Jason Brown's ride?
Yep, almost a winning ride.
There you go. 342. He wasn't. He thought he may have gone a bit early. Morning, boys. Good day's racing yesterday. 3 votes. L. Taylor and S. Embry. Great coverage all day. Boys did well in humid conditions. Come on, knock it off. Bloody hell. Humid conditions. Later, Alligator, my horse, to follow from the meeting. Big step up from an Albany maiden. Thought its run super and race ran good time. Could be one to watch on a derby path. That's from Mitch of Dianella.
Good call, Mitch. Was he the one that also said Scott and I did a good job?
That's the same guy.
Excellent text message.
We've had a couple with WTF? What's that? World Trainers Federation, is it?
No, it's not. I can't say much.
It's about Richie Bell. Another one said, that's enough, Rich. No more Dexter. Let's go to race number 8, the Bisley Workwear, the main event of the day, the Cyril Flower.
Tucked away right where he wants him coming into the corner. He's about to let him go. Ollie's Choice and Vast up, but they'd set sail for the Judge and Norwich, about to be joined by Snowdome. Norwich, Snowdome together. Over on the outside, Man Crush holding Twain's Angel in a zip fastened pocket, but not going well enough either. Snowdome burst to the lead at the 100 mark, and Snowdome pricked his ears up, put pay to them, and is going to destroy them in the Cyril Flower. Snowdome easily 2.5 lengths. Twain's Angel.
Well, you could say the real Snowdome turned up here, Loch.
He did. He's been a hard horse to catch over the last 12 to 18 months, but Neville Parnham provided really interesting insight post-race in regards to, I guess, how much has gone wrong with this horse throughout that time period, and finally he seems like he's back to his best. In this type of grade with only 56.5 kilos, I think he was very well placed yesterday, but I think the query for a lot of people was, would he be back to his best? And obviously, with the benefit of hindsight, we know that he was yesterday. He was a dominant winner of the Cyril Flower yesterday by 3 lengths on speed, travelling really strongly throughout. A very, very dominant performance, and yeah, it was just great to see. Clearly, Twain's Angel was a little unlucky in second. She should have finished closer to Snowdome than the beaten 3-length margin, but I still feel like Snowdome won with enough dominance that it wouldn't have changed the result in the end.
Yep, Twain's Angel really good again. Norwich just keeps running these places in good races, so he's just come of age in the last couple of seasons. Wasn't long ago I was calling him unplaced in 46-plus races at Narrogin, and it's just incredible. And never give up hope if you own a horse. And Man Crush was a bit disappointing.
Yeah, Man Crush. That was on top, I think, from Mickey Heaton from the yard. I was listening in driving around.
Yes, Scotty and Michael were both keen on the chances of Man Crush. Had every possible chance of mine, 1 out, 1 back, and yeah, just didn't really let down late. I know that Chris was attempting to keep Maddie in a pocket. I doubt that played a part in the way that he finished off the race, because in the end he was beaten 4 lengths, ran 4th, and as I said, had every chance to finish a little bit closer.
Well, it was a good day for the sponsors product yesterday. The Swan Draft Handicap over the 1,200 metres.
Hero to start its move. On the rails then, playing games, looking for the short way home. Robbing Danger, Rapid Rock back there with Goldmaker, the widest of them. Into the straight, Sunlit Fresco, led 300 from the Judge cross statement. The immediate threat, 2 lengths, Magnasonic. Comic Hero beginning to run on strongly. Rapid Rock down on the rails, Sunlit Fresco. Here comes Comic Hero. Comic Hero, though, gathered them up, sprinted over the top of them, races to the lead. Comic Hero's got them done. Comic Hero won it well from either playing games, finishing
okay, we need to get cracking a little bit here, but a good win to Comic Hero, Richie.
Super right, this from Lucy Fiore. After about 50 metres, when you see a horse travelling that comfortably early, you half want to be on, and it was just tracking into the race, and Lucy's move at the 300-metre mark, where she saw the horse over on the inside of her playing games as one of her main dangers and leant sideways to ensure playing games wasn't going to go with her at that point in the race, I thought was absolutely magnificent.
Yep.
And it's a sign of a rider who's just really come of age and is riding with so much confidence. Really good win by the horse too. It showed a really good turn of foot there and bounded away to score. Playing games was good again, so close to a win, this horse. Cross statement, very tough there from the Taylor yard. Sat outside the leader. The leader cracked and got beaten 4. Cross statement only got beaten less than 2, so that was a really good run. Forget Rapid Rock went around. This horse has to race on speed. It's been on speed its previous 2 runs. Missed the start. That was the end of the ball game for Rapid Rock.
I love the way you've analysed this race, Rich, and the ride of Lucy Fiore without hesitation, which I've learnt is important this morning because, as you said, at the 300-metre mark, her ability to put Holly Watson in a pocket, important. In the end, the margin was 2 lengths, but Playing Games, you could see, was travelling into the corner very, very well. So she may have made it interesting. Regardless, Playing Games is going very well. I made her a horse to follow off the back of her performance last week, and I thought the performance yesterday had plenty of merit in behind a horse that I believe belongs in Saturday company.
Yeah, Greg L, he's putting mine and your house on Playing Game next run. That's twice in 2 runs, couldn't get out, and then stormed home to run a place. 3rd time lucky for Holly. Let's go to race number 10, the Glenroy Chaff Handicap, and this is over the 1,400 metres.
500 from home. Right behind those, then Deal Her In. Outside of it, then came Diamond Dancer at the top of the home straight, being followed further back, Precious God. And here comes All Grunt. It's made a big run around them from the back of the field, charging right down the outskirts. Deal Her In gets through in the centre. Deal Her In and All Grunt. 120 left to go. It's All Grunt on the outside. Deal Her In sticks though with All Grunt. All Grunt, Deal Her in a great battle. All Grunt's got the head in front. All Grunt, big win. All Grunt just won from Deal Her In, and over on the inside, Precious God getting through.
Well, Tiana Noski and Jared Noski, they're having a very good run with All Grunt.
They are. I think he's a star 3-year-old on the rise, and I think the post-race interview from Jared Noski with Scotty almost hit the nail on the head, where Jared said that I'm not sure if this horse knows that I actually like him with the way I've been riding him. The first 2 starts this preparation, he's had to loop the field and make long searching runs around them. But the horse seems to just thrive with that approach. He was back second last at the 800-metre mark, and I think Jared needed to take off when he did in order to win the race. But I think it's the sign of, 1, clearly a very nice horse, but 2, the sign of a horse that should appreciate getting out over a little bit further. Heads to a challenge stakes in a couple of weeks' time over 1,500 metres, and then you obviously head on that Derby pathway where you have the Piper over 1,600 metres, the 1,800 metres, and how far he gets, I'm not sure, but it's just that beautiful series of races where you find out pretty quickly.
Yeah, he just travels into races really well. From about the 600, he can make ground very, very quickly on them when he takes that beautiful stride out wide and picks up 3 or 4 lengths pretty quickly, and then it's just a matter of whether he can surge past them, and he was able to do that. Dealer In was really good again, had a nice run just off them, got to the outside and battled hard, really fought tenaciously, just went under. Good battle, and Precious God has worked home well again into 3rd place. Summer's Legacy was really good in terms of staying races over the next 6 to 8 weeks. Summer's Legacy got home really hard after being held up, and the listener, the texter, later Alligator.
Yes.
He's spot on. Like, there was a great run and potential Derby competitor. Noah Quintilli, I think, needs to draw a gate to get into a race. It had to go back from the wide draw, so it could be one to follow.
Love the run of later Alligator. Playing God looks like he's a Derby type in the making. Loved his run there yesterday, and I'm excited to see where he goes next start.
Quick mention, Diamond Dancer got caught out very wide, needs to get back to 1,200 and draw a gate, can be competitive, but has been a touch disappointing.
All Grunt by Grunt out of an Acosta de Lago mare, you just would think mile plus. You know, I agree with you, Loch. It might be 18, but you're going to find out in this series of races.
Exactly.
It could be 2,400, who knows?
And the same can be said about the second horse, Deal Her In. She's a done deal filly. Loved how strong she was through the line. I think that's going to be a fascinating clash, potentially between the pair of them in the challenge in a couple of weeks' time. Yeah. But she's going to be on an Oaks path all going well. So an exciting filly as well.
Well, it was a good day for Ballast Racing with Fluoro Neuro winning. I think they had a second in that previous race with Dealer In, and they sponsored race 11, the Ballast Racing Joiner Racing Syndicate Handicap over the 1,600.
Whip them all in as the sprint really goes on. They dig in hard at the 400-metre mark. El Patron, Forever Dreaming on the outside, goes up, breathing down his neck. Into the clear comes Great Demon, pushing JD out wider, and then Rockin' the Jam further back, starting its run, finishing hard. 150 left to go, Forever Dreaming and El Patron, but here comes Rockin' the Jam. Rockin' the Jam quickly dashes up and spread eagle them. Rockin' the Jam pulling away from just a minute, but it's all Rockin' the Jam. He toyed with them. Rocking the
horse
Jam.
going places. This isn't Rocking the Jam.
Great Demon Forever Dreaming and getting home strongly late.
There was a bit of talk about him giving up a bit of prize money or whatever when he went into that 3-year-old plate after not winning a maiden, but he's just gone bang, bang, and that's what you do with a good horse. Well done, Russell.
Absolutely. Very, very nice horse. Just a very impressive animal, I think. The way that he travelled into this race and looked like he was giving Steve Parnham a little bit of a hard time between the 500-metre mark and the 200-metre mark. And even whilst doing that, even still whilst not being fully tested by Steve Parnham, he still gathered them up in a matter of a few strides. I think that's the sign of a really, really nice horse. Now, interestingly, Russell suggested that he's straight to the paddock.
No, really?
Come this afternoon.
Is that right?
Straight
I
to the
thought
paddock.
Challenge would have been magnificent for it.
Well, that's the interesting conversation, and perhaps Rusty and the owners will reconsider that decision with the benefit of letting the dust settle. But yesterday he was fairly, I guess, not stringent. Fairly resolute, thank you, Marty, on the plan that this horse would be going out for a break and coming back for a Belmont Guineas.
Okay. Well, if he's intransigent on it, we won't be seeing him there. But, gee, he is an exciting horse. Wow, I was so taken by this win and the previous win as well. He really reached to the line the start before, even though he had the perfect run. And when I called him down there at Pinjarra, that was an enormous effort. Yep. He actually should have gone close to finishing right alongside Dealer In that day over the 1200. And stepping up in trip, this horse, magnificent.
To be honest, he's the type of horse that Hong Kong would come calling for.
Yes.
Lightly raced 3-year-old, a horse that looks like will get ground. He's your perfect Hong Kong Derby.
Beautifully bred too. Awesome rock out of a Blackfriars mare.
What about the others in the race? No Pier, I thought was really good because it missed the start and was getting home hard nearer the inside. Forever Dreaming again. I think I mentioned this last time. He's had to sit outside the leader and do the bullocking work. And I'd really like to see this horse with a bit of cover in about 4th or 5th and then chiming in late.
Early start today, Hobart. It's Cup Day there, so the first event, get your bets on punters. We won't be covering it, but just alerting you to the fact. Number 11, Billy the Great, favourite at $3. There's 1 or 2 to move in there. I think this is Rusty. And sticking with the plan, he's in the paddock now. That is from James Stewart. Well,
thank you, Jimmy.
That has been confirmed. Righto, so we've got 1 to go, then we'll have horses to follow. Race number 12, the Tab Touch. Have you got the Touch handicap? And this event was over the 1,600 metres.
Get going because the sprint's really going to come on any tick of the clock ahead of Ascot and Kisses from Kelly. They reach the 400. Ginger Green and Neck Bruce Almighty at the top of the straight. So War straightened up third. The Spruker fourth, the rail. Ascot down the outside in the middle. Satino, but Bruce Almighty explodes to the lead. 150 to go. Bruce Almighty about a half to 3/4 on Ginger Green. Coming back, Bruce Almighty, Ginger Green fighting tooth and nail, but Bruce Almighty kept going. Bruce Almighty beat Ginger Green, So War third, and then Satino and Ascot.
All right, Locke, a lot of people have come for you. There's a lot of love on the text. They're saying you're fantastic. That was from Tina and Lois. It's good on you. But anyway.
Tina and Lois.
But, Locke, if I was to say to you without looking, prize money earned by this horse, Bruce Almighty, what would you say?
I would say up above 500,000. Yeah. What is it?
596,000.
Wow. What a horse.
What a stalwart.
And I love the fact that he's out of Playing God's first crop. And early days, he looked like he might be a battler. In fact, I still think he is almost a battler, but he just tries so hard. Chris Parnham, I think, afforded him the ultimate compliment post-race when he said that he is one of the toughest horses he has ever ridden. From one of our most accomplished jockeys here in WA. I think that is a huge compliment for the horse.
If you'd watched this race, if this race had been race 1, you would have thought, oh, hold on, there could be a pattern developing here on speed today. But it was just dominated by first and second. Of course, the track played really fairly yesterday, and the others just couldn't get into the race. The pace was even, did you think, Lochie?
I think so. I think it was even to perhaps slightly above average in the early stage of the race, but just with the way that Bruce Almighty travelled into the corner, the speed really went on from the 600 metre mark onwards, and I just felt like that got the other rivals off the bridle, and therefore they got a long way off them at the top of the straight and just couldn't reel in that 4 to 5 length margin over the final 300 metres. But there were still some nice runs in behind them. Satino, I thought, was credible. Sowell always runs an honest race, and Heskett continues to go very, very well.
And Kisses for Kelly is going to be my horse to follow as well. Got back in the field and ran within 2.5 lengths of the winner. I thought was really good, and when it steps up in a staying trip and races up on speed, I think we'll see it to the fore again. Kisses from Kelly set for another really good campaign.
Marty, you've been big on the fact that Satino perhaps is a wet track preferred horse for a long time. You have.
Someone on the text line said that as well. Well, maybe it is.
Well, you have said it.
Now,
I'm telling you, you've said it.
I forget a lot of things I say, mate. I'm a day-to-day proposition. The horses to follow. Sunday Early Money from Jake Hill. Race 1, GG Hailstorm, Rich. You said Hobart Race 1, GG Hailstorm's got up. $3.80. Horses to follow next.
On Racing Rewind, it is time for the boys to look back and determine who are the black bookers, the ones to be on next start, the horses to follow.
3 for me. Continue to follow Play Fair. Our mate Archie, really like him as a horse, and Stylish Lord is due.
Storm Away out of race number 4. Definitely a horse to follow. Yeah, I agree with Stylish Lord for sure. And also in the last, I like the run of Kisses for Kelly. I think it's going to win a staying race really soon again.
Did Michael Heaton leave us one from the yard?
I've messaged him, but I've left my run a little bit late.
Okay.
So I hope he replies in the next 45 seconds.
Without hesitation.
Yes, without hesitation.
I've got it.
It's come through late.
Ice Pick Nick.
Ice Pick Nick.
He's given us a bit of value
Leading
there.
Stallion goes to Playing God. Now, he's been a bit quiet, the great Stallion, but he's got a double in yesterday, so he has won the Stallion of the day with Playing God. Honourable mention to Rommel, whose side the Cyril Flower winner.
Snowdome.
Boys, winner at Mount Barker, quickly in 15 seconds or not?
Go the Cup, Brave Contender.
Brave Contender.
I'll follow Rich in. Sounds
Hobart, race 8. Promises kept. We'll be winning the Hobart Cup. Leah Rudis to take us through the morning into the afternoon. Thanks to Sophie for all the good work as well. Have a great day.